and it's my pleasure to welcome the Command Chief of the 96th Test Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Heath Tempel, to offer us some closing remarks.
Are we working? Oh yeah, we're working. Now I see why everybody was doing this earlier. That's right, I can see all your smiling faces. You know, it's so interesting, like how do you wrap up a day like this? I mean, you know, such an interesting position being here at the 96th Test Wing. It's a dream job. But I tell you, you know, oftentimes we think our leaders wear capes, right? But there's been struggles for so many of us. How many of you were here for General Garrity's opening remarks? How about that? Right? I wanted to share with you, that's actually the third time that he has tried to tell that story in front of an audience. Right? It's so recent, right? And it's so raw, you could see it. That he actually showed the courage to share that in front of all of you today. I think it's just super, super impressive. I'm so proud to have him as my wingman. And I want to follow in his lead. You know, there's also a story that I wanted to share with you that I've never shared in front of an audience here, and it has everything to do with my arrival here to this amazing assignment, this amazing mission, so I could work alongside all of you. And we think that we're wearing a cape, and I'll tell you, I had about the toughest experience I've ever had in my life in August of 2021. And that includes all the battlefield stuff, right? 8 combat deployments, lost a lot of friends, right? It's a little bit different on the battlefield. We talked about that a little bit today, right? When you're picking your brother and sister up alongside you and you're getting back to the mission, there was something about this that was even harder. And I think it was because we didn't have an enemy that we could point our weapons at. In this case, the enemy was COVID. So in August of 21, I had already been notified that I get to come to Eglin, and I was so fired up. I was so pumped. In early August, my brother came down with COVID. So I called my brother. He's actually my brother-in-law. He's my wife's wonderful brother. And I don't have a brother. I have an amazing sister and some awesome nephews. So my brother-in-law is my brother, and I will always refer to him that way. We shared so much, passion for so much. Well, he came down with COVID, and as you know, is often the case, you hear some pretty tough stories about spending 24 days on the ventilator, having to make some really, really tough decisions in the midst of all that, all the ups and downs. The blood oxygen level is up. Well, now it's back down today. We're going to try this approach. We're going to try that approach. It's like hope was on a yo-yo for a period of 21 days, right? And at the end of that 21 days, he lost his battle with COVID. And it was one of those where, you know, we got to choose the timing, and we were able to bring our family together. Only one person was allowed to go up to the bedside. It was the COVID protocol. And the rest of us were watching remotely using an iPad, using FaceTime. And we got to watch There's probably some of you out there that have experienced this. But the same person that brought him into the world got to see him out of it, right? So as hard as that was, on the other side of it was even more difficulty, right? Now you can combine this with all the joy that we were feeling just so recently with getting this wonderful assignment, right? And getting to lead and do all the things that I love. And now I've got to help the family recover, right? I don't know how many of you out there are stoics. I'm a stoic, right? And what do stoics do, right? You stack things onto your shoulders, right? You take on more weight, more responsibility, right? And I kept doing that. And I kept adding these 45-pound plates to my chest, or to my shoulders, right? I tell you, when I say probably the darkest moment of the whole episode was when my wife's father, so overcome with grief, that he was starting to take actions towards hurting himself, towards possibly even killing himself. And that dark moment was, I never could have seen myself putting a 70-year-old man in a bear hug, right, to keep him from hurting himself. There's something General Garrity mentioned. You know, we talked about, do you reach out or do you check out? And we've spoke to so much of the audience, and I'm speaking primarily to the Stoics, of course, because that's kind of who I am, right? But General Garrity talked about reach out or check out. And one of the hardest things you can do, especially for us Stoics, is to reach out, right? If you reach out, that to me is like the same kind of courage that General Garrity showed up here this morning. It's the toughest kind of courage. I've been all over battlefields in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that type of courage is also difficult, but not like this, right? I'll ask folks that are suffering, folks that are struggling, to reach out. And after that point where I had my own father-in-law in a bear hug, I reached out, right? So I went to somebody that I know, that I can trust, that understands me completely, and that was my father. Flew all the way down from Alaska to come be by my side and help me shoulder some of that burden, right? There were other things that were weighing me down. Like I said, I'm very excited about getting here to this spot to do this job. And I knew that I could not report on time. There's no way. There's too much going on, right? So to have this amazing job, to have so many people have vouched for you and be selected to come here, and then have to pick up the phone call as a Stoic, or pick up the phone as a Stoic, right? And call the general and say, sir, I can't come right now. Right? And for some of you, maybe it was a little bit easier, it was a little harder for me. So I did that, right? I reached out again. And I'll never forget the conversation. General Kane, for those of you that have been here for a little bit, when I talked to him, I said, sir, the family needs me. This is where I need to be. And I'm going to be a little bit late if you'll still have me, down there at Eglin. And his response was, Chief, Eglin airplane patch will be waiting for you when you get here. What an awesome way to say that. Talk about those 45-pound plates slipping off my shoulders, right? I was just about on my knees with stress, all the things that I was trying to take on at once. One phone call, one conversation, and we're able to lighten the load. And leaders, there's a message in there for you as well, right? Think about your teammates that are struggling, the folks that are in your sphere of influence. How can you remove some of that stress, some of those 45-pound plates, right? Maybe it's, like Eglin airplane patch will be waiting for you when you get here, right? God, what a difference that was. What a difference that made for me, right? So my message to you is reach out, right? Reach out. Find a good support network, get a little bit of assistance for where you're at. When the particular moment of your struggle, there's so many great experts here. We've had our tables set up in the back. I know a lot of you have had the opportunities to engage with our helping agency teams. Reach out. Reach out to a wingman, reach out to your supervisor, reach out to the helping agency teams, reach out to your chaplains, reach out to your first sergeants, right? And I want to tell you why it's important. All right, so we kind of, I'm going to end with a little bit of why. But this is what I want to bring it back to. What is today about? What am I even up here talking about? I'm talking about our most valuable resource. I'm talking about our airmen. Big A, whether you put the uniform on or do not. If you have sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution, or through your duties, you are helping us to generate the most fearsome weapon machine that has been created in the history of warfare, that is serious business because we have serious competitors, right? So I talked about my dad. He's a hero to me. I don't know, probably like a lot of you, there's usually a good percentage of the audience that has military in their family, right? So mom and dad served, or brother and sister, right? And I'm no different. My father served. He is an E8. He was a crew chief. Got any maintainers in here? We got a few. That's what I'm talking about. So you guys may have heard a little bit of this story already if you were at MPOY. In fact, you got to hear it from my father. But when he told me this story 5 years ago, I asked him if he'd be willing to share it in front of the entire leadership of, at the time we were at USAFE. So we had the 4-star general, the 3-star general, we had everybody, because it was just so incredible to me. And it underscores this point, right? Well, I'm gonna turn the clock back just a little bit to, say, the early 90s, right? And the Cold War is starting to thaw out a little bit. We're reaching out, doing a little bit of partnership, right? But baby steps, okay? As we start to send missions over to Russia. My father was stationed at Elmendorf at the time. And he was, at this time, an E8, and he was leading a group of crew chiefs in a C-130 unit. So the decision was, let's send a C-130 over to Russia and just, have a good exchange. Got a few things set up with the pilots to talk about, and just extend the branch, right? So they came to my dad and they asked him. They said, hey, we need to send some folks over to Russia. We got to put together a team for this mission. But we're concerned, right? We don't want to necessarily send our best aircraft and our best airmen. We're not sure where we're at for this level of trust yet, right? So they said, all right, so you go pick some folks, just not our best aircraft and not our best airmen. And to hear my dad, he's like, what? He's like, well, okay, let's pick our second best aircraft. Let's pick our second best airman, right? And he's put in charge of gathering up this team. So he does that. He's got this team together. He's got the aircraft. Everything checks. Missions a go. Wheels up. Takes forever to fly to Russia in a C-130, right? So we stop and refuel. Takes a while to get there. And when they land, the crew deplanes. You got the pilot, you got the co-pilot, and you've got this dedicated crew chief. You got this one staff sergeant, right? So for the crew chiefs that are in the audience, so after you land, the rotors stop turning. What's the crew chief do? You jump out, you put hands on the aircraft, right? You start doing your thing. And the Russians couldn't really understand what was going on, right? They look around and say, what is it? So what is that? Conscript, of course, is the term that we use, right? Hey, the conscript, he's out there on the aircraft. And they're like, yeah, that's cool, it's cool. So then it's time to take the leadership together, go out to, they had a conference room set up, have a discussion. And as they're engaging in conversation, one of the Russian handlers, y'all ever seen Rocky IV? Anybody remember that movie? Rocky IV, he goes over to Russia, fight Ivan Drago and all that. Well, remember, they had somebody following them around in a car, like a handler, right? That's what was going on. So they were following this crew chief around, just trying to keep an eye on him. And it was absolutely blowing their minds what they were seeing. So they actually interrupted the meeting, came in, went up to the American pilots and said, I just want to let you know your conscript is out there unsupervised. And he's like, conscript? What? Oh, yeah, you mean Sergeant Smith? Yeah, okay, yep. Yeah, he's just doing what he's supposed to do. Like, no, you don't understand. He's actually opening panels and he's doing, like, yeah, that's his job. We got it. So this visit, it was pretty brief. But the agenda, again, was to talk about, cargo flights, airmanship in general. And what it turned into was, how in the heck can you, the United States of America, generate such a trusted cohort of personnel? Empowered, trained, confident, right? It blew their minds. Russia wishes they had you, right? You need to look no further than the news stories right now, right? They've got generals on the front lines because their mid-level leadership can't take care of business. Russia wishes they had you. China's trying to build you. China is trying to develop, for example, an NCO program right now, right? But you are, without a doubt, are enduring competitive advantage. A lot of folks saying that now. I said it 5 years ago. It's never been truer. It only gets more true every day. So thank you to each and every one of you for being that difference, that competitive advantage. This is how we take care of our competitive advantage. This is one example. More to come. All right. And with that, I want to thank the folks that were involved with this. JB, you back there? You guys hear him? Come on out, Jason. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do here in front of everybody. Now, I know this man right here has received a coin from just about everybody under the sun. But what I want to do in front of everybody is to just say, thank you.
Thank you, brother. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
He really did make, he moved mountains, and he didn't do it alone. He had a really good team. There's a lot of folks involved, but I think we got 7 to call out and 5 are present, right?
Yep, got it. All right, so first off, I want to take an opportunity. This was probably the most authentic and vulnerable collection of speakers that I've ever seen bless a stage at one time all together. So can I get a huge round of applause to the speakers that we brought in today? Needless to say, something like this does not go on without a lot of moving parts and pieces in the background. So I have to take some time and kind of give a shout out to the teams that put this together and made it happen. If I forget any teams, please charge it to my head, not my heart. All right, for our MCs, our sponsors, food trucks, support agencies, Northwest Florida State University, the check-in team, audio and visual, and the catalysts that have been working in the background to make sure everything goes smoothly. Let me get a huge round of applause for them because they are the real MVPs for today. And there is a handful of individuals that we have to identify and call out by name. So when I call your name, please come on out to the main stage. Senior Reyes, Master Sergeant Phillips, Master Sergeant Amorosa, Master Sergeant Josh White, who is could not be in attendance today, Tech Sergeant Portillo, Tech Sergeant Gonzalez, and Staff Sergeant HC, who could also not be in attendance today. Where's everybody else at? Told y'all to be near the stage. Nothing. Let's go. Hustle it up. Double time. People are waiting on you, Shirt.
Come on, First Sergeant.
Let's go, First Sergeant. Here they're coming. Yeah, let's roll. Now, this team right here was in it from day one, from ground zero. And I will tell you, I know Chief brought me up here. Dude, I played an advisory role. These are the magic makers that literally put this together and put all the swag together. And the amazing thing that they done for all of you is a testament to them wanting to constantly invest in others so that you can become the best version of themselves. These are the types of leaders that we need to keep putting in charge of things. Yes, I said that. Yep, you're welcome. Because they're doing it with the right intent. This isn't a bullet. This isn't a checkbox. They are genuinely passionate about investing in others. So I know Chief Tempel has a nice little presentation for you, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking this dream and making it a reality. I am honored to work alongside of you. Thank you.
Well said, brother. As I put, and I know these folks here also have had a coin or two, but as I place this command chief coin in their hands, it has written on it something that is very meaningful to me. It's a 4-part leadership mantra that I believe with all my heart, and it's to be bold, be out front, take risk, and find a way to yes. And you tell me how you pull something like this off without doing all 4 of those things. So when I place this in your hand, it's alongside a heartfelt thank you for pulling this all together, and I already can't wait till the next one. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Chief Tempel. We would like to extend a huge thank you and express an immense amount of gratitude for all your participating in today's event. From the top of our very large air and range space at Eglin, since we don't have mountaintops, we would like to give a resounding and absolute large shout out and thank you to all of our dynamic speakers today. So one more round of applause.
We hope that today's journey has left you with a feeling of empowerment. Take actionable steps towards change, growth, and purpose. We hope that you leave here saying, thinking, and believing that today is the day you ignite the life you dream of, that you put forth the energy and effort to grow that dream into a reality. We hope that today you have decided to be the catalyst in your life and in the life of others that need a spark to ignite their own personal and professional growth.
Illuminate your path with the discussions had, the connections you've made, the friends you have journeyed with, or maybe even a new mentor that you've gained. We hope that you have individually found the joy in learning that experiences give way to growing new perspectives. Take that mindset with you and carry it forward to your units. Thank you for being here today. This is only the beginning, for your growth does not end here, it has just begun.
Before you depart, please help us deliver the best version of this event in the future. In your handouts, there is a QR code for the event survey. Please feel free to fill it out today. Feedback for the event will be closed by 17 February 23. As a reminder, the booths will be in session until 1700 hours, 5 o'clock for you non-mills. Thank you for your time and have a great day. This concludes today's event.